When was the last time Oprah actually spent time hanging out with a working class person in America? She's on her Montecito estate with one of the most beautiful mansions known to man. And that is why she did not follow up with Kamala Harris in response to that stupid gun question with, well, you're on camera saying that you favor mandatory gun buybacks. So how would that work? The Oprah enthusiasm worked when it was genuine.
Shortly after the Oscars, a 3.9 magnitude earthquake rocked LA. The tremors were so powerful, Oprah's ass is still moving. Why would you laugh at that?
Remember when Oprah was untouchable, the queen of couch confessions, book clubs, and surprise car giveaways? Well, Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly just snatched that crown, tossed it in a blender, and hit expos. Gutfeld came out swinging with sarcasm, so sharp it could shred a vision board, while Megyn delivered her takedown with icy precision, turning Oprah from media mogul to something more like a motivational meme gone stale. What did they reveal? Let's just say the empire's showing cracks.
First hit the scene in like the 1980s, and she was fresh out of Chicago. She was in Chicago for the launch of her national talk show. She was something electric and interesting and authentic, you know? I miss fat Oprah. She was just genuine. Now this thin Ozempic Oprah has lost, along with the pounds, her heart, her sense of authenticity. And what we're getting these days is this cleansed elite billionaire version who wants to scrub the record of facts.
It's true, the Harris interview did feel like a very special episode of Oprah, but instead of everybody getting a new car, everybody got an aneurysm.
Oprah Winfrey once stood before a room full of billionaires and claimed that being rich is hard-earned somehow. No one laughed her off the stage. That moment alone should have earned her a lifetime achievement in unintentional comedy. But here, we are again watching the high priestess of privilege lift her diamond-encrusted chalice and preach humility to the masses like she's one of them. You'd think that after decades of selling self-help fairy tales wrapped in gold leaf, she'd have retired to her Mount Olympus of curated authenticity. Nope. Oprah's still here. And now she's managed to provoke both Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly into a rare tag team, demolishing the delusion like a wrecking ball dipped in sarcasm.
We had a week of women getting up there and trying to get us to feel sorry for them. To Oprah, literally one of the richest people, forget women, one of the richest people on earth, and talk about, in part, the misogyny and racism she's faced from the country that made her a $2.6 billion.
Because when Oprah speaks, birds allegedly weep, flowers bloom, and stock markets tremble, at least, if you ask her most devoted fans. But lately, her spiritual TED Talk energy is starting to feel more like a parody of itself. Between pitching the American dream through a $900 face cream and launching wellness initiatives that cost more than a semester at Harvard, Oprah has become a walking contradiction, draped head to toe in designer irony.
5 words. Oprah's list of favorite things. So Oprah released her annual list of favorite things, and as usual, there are lots of expensive stuff. $1,000 pizza oven, $590 drip coffee maker, $80 of luxury salt. Sadly, no proposal from Stedman.
And then comes Megyn Kelly, armed with her signature "I'm so over this" squint and a decade's worth of journalistic edge, slicing through the Empress of empathy with surgical precision. You could practically feel the Botox tighten across Hollywood when Megyn called out the hypocrisy because, let's face it, Oprah has officially crossed into the sacred realm of unintentional self-parody. She used to give people cars. Now she hands out existential crises wrapped in branding deals and tied with a silk ribbon of self-importance.
Do you think she went over this first to make sure it wasn't too extravagant?
You're missing the best one.
What?
Okay, it is a little journal, and it's called "I'm Dead, Now What?" Important information about my belongings, business affairs, and wishes. Hand this to someone at Christmas, I dare you.
Gutfeld, meanwhile, didn't bother with a scalpel. He showed up swinging a verbal sledgehammer, with the subtlety of a WWE promo and the energy of someone who just discovered Oprah's charging $400 for a gratitude journal. This is the same woman who once turned crying on a couch into a billion-dollar brand, now lecturing the struggling middle class on how they should feel grateful for their suffering.
Oprah's an icon who, unlike traditional politicians, could match a wild card like Donald Trump. And if she won, she could give everyone a free car. And how different is that really from...
It's almost cute how Oprah still thinks we've forgotten who she really is. The same woman who spent decades curating her own televised church, convincing millions that every problem could be solved with a soft voice, a therapist, and 30 minutes of sponsored commercial breaks. Oprah doesn't do poverty, she collects it like it's vintage. She packages other people's pain into Emmy-winning content, then sells it back to them with a side of inspirational slogans and overpriced herbal tea. Megyn Kelly wasn't buying it tanned, why would she? Watching Oprah pretend she's still in touch with regular people is like watching a Kardashian give farming advice. The disconnect is cosmic. This is a woman who travels with a full entourage, personal chefs, stylists, wellness gurus, and probably an emotional support yacht. But sure, Oprah, tell us more about resilience. That she once said people should just be themselves. A touching sentiment from someone who hasn't been herself since the mid-90s. At this point, she's more brand than person. There's a legal team managing her image and a crew dedicated to getting the lighting just right. For Oprah, authenticity is a multi-million-dollar production with 5 camera angles and a fragrance line.
Her schoolgirl affectations and body movements. Like, okay, ready? Here it is. Like, okay. She raises herself off her chair. Like, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about this. Okay.
You're so right.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something you haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
It's going to blow your mind.
Okay. Right, like that.
Right.
Gutfeld had an absolute field day touring into Oprah like she'd just endorsed kale-flavored air. He reminded everyone that the woman who once claimed to be just a girl from Mississippi now lives in a mansion with its own zip code, probably needs a Sherpa to navigate from the kitchen to the indoor spa. You can't exactly preach simplicity when your backyard includes a private vineyard and your gardening team is named after Greek gods. But what really launched this roast into orbit was Oprah's latest stunt, her humanitarian documentary. You know, the one where she ventures into the world of the downtrodden armed with a camera crew, a full makeup team, and more lighting than a Marvel movie. There's something uniquely tone-deaf about standing in front of a homeless shelter in a $5,000 designer coat, discussing the human condition like it's a seasonal design trend. Megyn Kelly didn't blink. She ripped into the emotional exploitation like it was a bad script because, honestly, it was. Oprah didn't just document suffering, she produced it. She took grief, desperation, and hardship, layered it with a dramatic score, and sold it as awareness, as if anyone watching needed reminding that the world can be cruel. It wasn't awareness, it was aestheticized despair. And Oprah, naturally, was the star of the show.
We have got to talk about the failure of the celebrity. Oprah Winfrey, you have no power. You do not have any control over this electorate. Neither do you, J-Lo. Let's take a look at Oprah's final closing message on the campaign trail.
We don't get to sit this one out. If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again. We are voting to save ourselves from this precipice.
Even Oprah's generosity comes with a price tag. I'm here to help, she says, but help always comes with a plug. Oprah doesn't give, she brands. She doesn't support causes, she monetizes them. Her philanthropy is less charity, more business plan. Every tragedy she visits becomes a meticulously lit PR opportunity. She's not solving problems, she's curating content. Greg Gutfeld tore into this like he was filleting a fish. He quipped that Oprah's idea of outreach is flying first class to a disaster zone, then charging extra for the inspirational audiobook afterward. And honestly, he's not wrong. The whole performance reeks of Hollywood sanctimony. Nothing says I care like stepping over debris in designer heels, while your assistant touches up your lip gloss between takes. Oprah's empire is built on emotion, and she plays those emotions like Mozart played a piano. She's the queen of televised trauma, a maestro of misery, orchestrating feel-good moments with all the authenticity of a Vegas illusionist. You almost have to admire the hustle. It's polished, relentless, and wildly profitable. Oprah has done the impossible. She's turned empathy into an algorithm.
I looked at this list, and you know what wasn't on there? Anything about Maui, right? At one point in time, she and The Rock made that video to try to help out everybody who was hurt by the fire. And then that was just quickly discarded. She's like, okay, that didn't work. Who wants slippers? You want slippers. You get a pair of slippers. You're all getting slippers.
You think she might?
But Megyn wasn't done. She dragged out the receipts like it was Black Friday and shredded Oprah's entire catalog of contradictions. Like how she's always promoting balance while secretly running more businesses than a hedge fund, or how she's constantly preaching self-love but still selling products that tell you you're not good enough until you buy more. It's a spiritual hustle cloaked in silk. Greg added that Oprah's book club might as well be called mandatory reading for future disappointment. Every pick is either a trauma memoir, a philosophical ramble, or something so emotionally draining you need therapy afterward, but it's all framed as enlightenment, as if wallowing in fictional despair is some kind of moral achievement. And don't even start on her political hot takes. Oprah's endorsements are like celebrity horoscopes, vague, irrelevant, and somehow still make people nervous. She dips her toes into politics like it's a hot tub, just enough to make waves, never enough to get wet. She wants the cloud of activism without the responsibility, one speech here, one appearance there, and she's hailed as a visionary. Meanwhile, actual change makers are ignored because they don't have a skincare line. Megyn obliterated that illusion, pointing out that Oprah's activism has all the depth of a Hallmark card. She stands for hope and change in the same way air stands for breathing. It's technically there, but it's not doing anything revolutionary. She's the queen of safe rebellion, a protester in pearls. Then there's Oprah's ongoing obsession with dieting, rebirth, and reinventions. If she's a phoenix made of gluten, every few years she announces another spiritual awakening, usually accompanied by a new line of supplements and a glossy 3-part documentary, and every time it's the same story. She found herself again, somewhere between a luxury retreat in Maui and a fresh deal with Weight Watchers. Gutfeld didn't miss a beat. He joked that Oprah's entire career is just a never-ending reboot of her own persona. One minute she's a weight loss warrior, the next she's a spiritual sage, and then just as suddenly she's moderating a round table on racial healing with all the nuance of a fortune cookie. She reinvents herself more often than most people, reset their Wi-Fi passwords, and through it all, she insists she's relatable, as if the average American can pause their soul-searching journey because their private chef canceled. It's exhausting watching her pretend she's still part of the everyday grind. Her version of roughing it probably involves a delayed room service order. Megyn Kelly tore this illusion apart, slicing through the glossy fluff like a hot knife through branded vegan butter. She reminded everyone that Oprah's world is not our world. Her obstacles are curated, her pain is packaged, her struggles are edited for primetime and softened with a piano soundtrack. What Oprah sells as transformation is really just a well-lit production of privilege. And yet, Oprah still positions herself as the voice of the people, a billionaire somehow convinced she's the champion of the underdog. It's like Jeff Bezos claiming he truly understands warehouse workers because he once read an article about sore feet. Greg Gutfeld summed it up perfectly: the truth everyone's too afraid to say. Oprah isn't empowering anyone. She's selling the illusion of empowerment, wrapped in pastels and covered in affirmations. She's perfected the art of sounding profound while saying absolutely nothing. All tone, no substance. All sparkle, no depth. And maybe the cruelest irony, people still buy it. Millions cling to her words like scripture, forgetting that behind every aha moment sits a marketing team and a product launch. Oprah isn't a movement, she's a market. Less a leader, more a lifestyle choice, like yoga pants with a personality. Megyn and Greg didn't tear Oprah down out of spite, they did it out of exasperation. Watching her play Mother Earth while cashing checks from corporate heaven is like watching a movie that refuses to end, long after the plot ran out years ago. So next time Oprah tells you to embrace the journey, remember her journey includes a fleet of assistants, an on-call therapist, and an Instagram filter that could resurrect Cleopatra. The only journey most people are on is trying to pay rent before their next existential crisis, but don't worry, there's probably a book in her club for that too, and trust me, it'll cost $29.99 plus shipping. The brilliance of this entire charade is how effortlessly Oprah masquerades as a beacon of enlightenment while lounging in marble tubs. Big enough to house a small nation, it's almost performance art at this point. She doesn't walk. She glides through crises trailing behind a camera crew and monogrammed herbal mist, her compassion always prescheduled, her empathy perfectly lit from stage left. The woman could host a symposium on struggle from her infinity pool and still claim to feel your pain. Meanwhile, Kelly's takedown wasn't just a critique. It was a public unmasking. She exposed that the empire of faux inspiration has become a shrine to image management, and Greg, he bulldozed the velvet facade with enough punchlines to make even the lighting crew we see. The contrast is staggering. One woman marketing resilience from a Char's lounge, while the rest of us dodge bills and potholes. Yet somehow we're expected to take notes. The self-help sermons ring hollow when they echo from a climate-controlled wine cellar. It's not motivation, it's melodrama in Louboutin. And the worst part, Oprah still believes she's relatable, like her nearest neighbor isn't a hedge fund. Welcome to the gospel according to wealth.